The film is about two children, two young children who are left to fend for themselves when their mother is arrested for taking part in an illegal pyramid scheme. When I wrote it, it was kind of a personal story, kind of about growing up, my childhood growing up in the early 90s, going to a lot of these pyramid scheme seminars with my mom and my little sister. And I never could have foreseen the current economic crisis. And, I guess there's a lot of people right now who are, I guess, going through what the kids and the mother are going through in the film. So in some ways I hope that it'll be, even more timely and more universal because of that. The production was actually really, really fast. I was writing on a TV show last year in 2007. I was writing on a show called Kashmir Mafia. It was one of the only shows that had a minority main character, which is Lucy Liu. The writer's strike happened, and when the writer's strike happened, I kind of felt like I wanted to write something that was more personal, something that I could shoot very quickly. So I wrote it from November to March of 2008, and the financing happened really quickly, and we shot. I sent out the script in March, and we were shooting by July, and we were accepted to Sundance around Thanksgiving time. So the production was about 24 days. Millions and millions of dollars. No, it was a very modest budget, and we always knew going into it that we wanted a modest budget. With a film like this where you're working with kids and it's a very intimate story, I've been used to working on films with a very small crew, and it was nice to work with a small crew around the kids, because the kids, when you're working with a 7-year-old or a 10-year-old, it's kind of weird if there's 20 people that you don't know watching you do a scene, but it felt very, it was like a family by the end of the production, which was very nice. I worked with kids on my short film Window Breaker, and I found that I really, really liked it. And when I sent the script around, everybody was like, you're going to work with kids again? What are you, some kind of masochist? But I find working with kids great. I think that they bring a certain innocence to a film, and if you can make them comfortable with the situation, with having a camera, a few inches from their face. I think the payoff is great, because you get little bursts of kind of unexpected line readings and takes on scenes that, as an adult, you kind of have an idea of how kids interact, and sometimes you're right on, and a lot of times you're not. In talking to the kids and not trying to force them into something, just listening to how they would react in this situation is always, interesting and informative. And one of the things that I found working with Michael and Crystal, our two leads, who were fantastic, was that the main difficulty, I think, in working with children is you tend to underestimate their abilities, and when you talk to them, and really find out whether or not they understand the scene, a lot of times they do, and it's really rewarding when you see that you put your faith in them, they totally deliver. I always wanted to write and direct. I started making movies in high school, and as kind of out of necessity, I wrote and directed everything. I continued that through college. I didn't go to grad school. I went to undergrad at Columbia, and I felt like I didn't really want to go back to school, and so I made a schedule for myself. I was going to make a short film every 6 months and write a feature film every 9 months, and I did that for about 3.5 years. Totally low budget stuff. Window Breaker, which I wrote and directed, was shot for $600. When it got into Sundance, we had to pay another $1,200 to step up to HD. But we had played festivals before, and it was great practice, and it definitely gave me confidence being able to go to over 30 international festivals on a movie with that budget. So I think of myself as a writer-director for independent films, and on commercial projects, I tend to just be a writer. I think I consider this film and Window Breaker as American films first, and as me as American writer-director first before the Asian American side. when I first started thinking about Children of Invention, I thought that it might be something that, I wasn't sure what race the kids were going to be, or the family was going to be. But as I continued writing, I kind of felt like it added another layer to it, and it wasn't just about Ponzi schemes, but it could also be about, the immigrant mentality, and there was a certain specificity I could bring to it by making the family Chinese American. So that's the reasoning for that. Moving forward, I would like to work on the Asian American side, and also on films that aren't necessarily Asian American content. A director like Ang Lee is a big inspiration. Seeing his career path, how he is able to move back and forth between projects that are Asian American and studio projects and independent films.